Well, welcome back to In the Know. I'm Erica.
And I'm Tracy. Today's topic, which is very important for anyone who is planning an event, a wedding or an event, is budgeting.
That's right. We're going to talk about budgets and help you set a realistic budget that fits your financial goals while also sharing some creative strategies to save money without sacrificing style.
Yes, and we'll cover everything from priority spending to avoiding those sneaky pitfalls that can lead to overspending. So whether you are dreaming of a lavish celebration or a cozy gathering, we've got tips you need to make every dollar count. Welcome to In the Know with Erika and Tracy. Say yes to less stress, the podcast where wedding planning meets peace of mind.
We're two seasoned wedding pros bringing you real talk, expert tips, and insider advice to help you plan your big day without the burnout.
Whether you are newly engaged, knee-deep in planning, or just love all things weddings, you're in the right place.
So say yes to less stress and tune in every month for your dose of wedding wisdom. Hey, Tracy girl, look, I am so excited about this topic because you know I love everything about numbers. So we're in the midst of engagement season and many people are planning their wedding and they are all excited about it, which they should be. But then the money discussion happens and everybody goes cricket, right? And
That's right.
I feel like that's my house every day. Cricket.
That's me too.
Right. So I got a question. Tell me why you think budget discussion is usually the hardest part for wedding planning or planning for that part.
Yeah, talking about the budget is so hard because money is emotional.
Yeah.
And plus, everybody is busy counting their coins.
Yeah.
I know I count my coins, right? Couples are often, they don't know things, what really cost for weddings. It's such a sticker shock. So it's kind of hard to match their vision with their pocketbooks.
Absolutely.
So I feel like, it's emotional.
Yes.
And no one wants to talk about budget. They just want to know, well, how much does it cost? Instead of setting a budget aside to match your vision.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
Budget conversations feel uncomfortable, but they are necessary.
Very much necessary.
You have to have a clear understanding, so that we can design the wedding that truly fits their priorities without any surprises later.
Right.
So, Erika, with that being said, what's the biggest misconception about how far a wedding budget can go, especially here in Southern California?
People will say, "Oh, I got a $35,000 budget." Now, $35,000 is a lot of money. So let me preface that. But when you're talking about a wedding and then you're talking about a wedding in California or another high state, and you're talking about 200 to 300 people, $35,000 is like a drop in the bucket. So I think the biggest misconception is even if you have $20,000, $30,000 for your wedding, that's actually not a lot of money considering the celebration, So,
yeah, sure.
I know. It's interesting. So I want to talk like realistic. It was like, what's the biggest misconception? But one of the things is that you and I, we talk about statistics and numbers. And so in 2025, the average wedding cost in California, and this wasn't even like this big grand wedding, was about $41,000. So that just knocks it out the water if you're saying I only got 30,000.
Mm-hmm,
And then in
mm-hmm.
New York, it was even almost double that.
Yeah.
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 So, I want to ask you because you are a designer extraordinaire. Oh,
Oh.
girl, look, you are. I love to see your designs, but tell me in your mindset, or let's tell our listeners, what does a 15,000, 30,000, and 50,000 wedding actually look like here in California?
Well, first of all, thank you for that compliment.
You know it, but
Right back
much
at you, girl.
deserved.
And I'm just
Much
saying that just because you
deserved,
gave me a
friend.
compliment. But let's just break this down. So in Southern California, a $15,000 wedding budget is almost unheard of. But if that is your budget, it typically falls into the category of a micro wedding.
Yeah.
So something very intimate and minimum, often focused just on the couple,
Yeah.
and maybe a very small guest count.
Okay.
Yeah. So moving to a $30,000 wedding budget is considered a small wedding budget.
Yeah.
It's like you said, it is a lot of money.
Yeah.
But it is still considered a small budget.
Yeah.
And it usually allows you like approximately 30 to 50 guests at a simple venue, maybe a backyard, a beautiful backyard garden wedding.
Yeah.
It's not luxury, but with this budget, couples can host around 70 to 100 guests, maybe. So, yeah. And then let's say a $50,000 wedding budget supports, it's small, but it's still comfortable.
Right.
It's well-rounded. And you can find a nice venue, like, that can host you for 50,000, and you have your rest of your vendors to include as well in that budget. So it's doable, but it's still not, for me, based on, our experience.
Right.
Southern California is expensive.
Yeah. I love that you said you gave a guest count, because that's one of the biggest things that I see couples coming. They're like, okay, I got this budget. And like you said, 50,000 is really a small wedding, like maybe 75 to 100. But they're thinking they can invite 200 people. And so.
And I have seen that where they come in with a $50,000 budget and they want to invite 300 guests. And I'm like, that might work if you are, hosting it at your home. And you are having everyone cook. No, I'm just kidding.
But for real though, like seriously.
Yeah. Well, what should couples expect to spend the most money on at a wedding?
So I've seen that the biggest part of your budget should go to your reception, and slash venues, because sometimes people like, 50,000 for my reception and my budget is 40. That's 20,000. No, that's 20,000, but you got to incorporate my catering costs. Does the venue have a rental fee separate from the catering costs?
Yes.
Do I bring in rentals? You and I both do design, and a lot of times our clients don't want the standard rentals or the items that come from the venue. So you have to bring those in.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
an added cost. So so now your budget of 20K has just really diminished because you got all these elements to put in it. So I would say about 50%. I earmark about 45 to 50% to that reception piece of it.
And that's why it's so important setting priorities early and understanding where your money goes. That makes a big difference.
Yeah, because sometimes you gotta give up some stuff, in order to. Right. So, I want to ask you this though, because we were talking about how much what's the biggest item you expect to spend on, but I think another thing that a lot of couples don't even realize are some of the hidden costs that people often forget to plan for or don't even know. And it's okay because they're not doing this all the time. So, what are
Mhm.
some hidden costs that our listeners should be aware of?
Yeah, I think we'll start with the service fees. They
Mm-hmm.
don't realize that catering companies have service fees and then they don't expect the taxes as well. So, depending
Yeah.
on what county you're in, their
Mm-hmm.
taxes. So, they don't, you know, include those. And then also, depending on what the venue offers. So, if the venue doesn't have tables and chairs, that could be a hidden cost that you have to provide the tables, the chairs, the linens, and so forth. And then I really don't think that couples really think about decor,
Mm-hmm.
and those are
Mm-hmm.
hidden costs
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, and you mentioned decor, so can you elaborate a little bit more on, say, for instance, your tablescape? What do you include in your tablescape that is not a part of your venue cost necessarily?
Right. So it really depends on the venue, of course, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes flatware is not included,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
especially if you want some specialty decor like charger plates,
Mm-hmm.
gold flatware,
Mm-hmm.
um, different glassware like water cups, wine
Mm-hmm.
glasses, champagne
Mm-hmm.
flutes. So those are
Mm-hmm.
the things that you need to consider as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then as far as, floral, candles,
Mm-hmm.
those are things that are extra.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're
Mm-hmm.
looking at Pinterest and you're looking at these designs on the tables,
Mm-hmm.
that all of that has a price that needs to be
Girl,
paid.
oh my God. You were just, girl, are you in my mind, Tracy? Because I was just thinking we need to create a graphic with
Yes.
our look, because you so good at that. We may have to call in Fallon, but having an image of like our tablescape and just pop up, boom, this glass is $1. Boom, this tableware is $5.
Yes. The flatware 50 cents each.
Yes. Oh my girl, you in my head, girl.
Because I love designing, and I know
Mm-hmm.
you do too.
Mm-hmm.
And when a client, which no fault of theirs, if they say, "Oh, I'll just go with whatever the catering company offers,"
Mm-hmm.
then your design is not complete.
Mm. No,
You
girl.
know, when
Mm.
someone comes to me for design, I'm so far on flatware,
Mm-hmm.
glassware,
Yes.
china.
Yes.
I'm really trying to spruce it up,
Yes. Yes.
And then they go, "Oh, we decided to go with what the venue has," which is fine. But
Mm-hmm.
then your design is not what you envisioned.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I
those
mean,
costs have to be included.
yes. Absolute. Girl, you got visions of dancing in my head about linens. I've had so many clients say, oh, we'll just go with the linens, the standard linens. And again, I'm not knocking that that's
Yes.
what they're going for, but if you've hired me for design, my design is not going to include
Not
a
basic.
polyester, right? Not a, that doesn't go to the floor and cover the legs of the table. That's just reality. So I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm
Yeah,
glad you
in my
mentioned that.
early design stage, I'll
Mm-hmm.
say,
Mm-hmm.
um, that was not really a question to ask if the linen goes to the floor, right?
Right.
And I'll tell you, several occasions,
Mm-hmm.
you know, especially at some hotels. I mean, now they're better. This was a long
Mm-hmm.
time ago.
Mm-hmm.
But the linen did not go to the floor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And my clients would be like, "What is this?
Mm-hmm.
This is what you
Yeah.
chose."
Yes.
So I had
Absolutely.
to educate them. I had to make sure you ask how much
Mm-hmm.
extra do I need to pay for floor length.
Right, because even with that, they'll say, "Oh yeah, it'll be fine," and then when the couple looks at it, they're like, "No, this is not fine." But you know, it's too late at that point, you know. So
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
love yeah, fun stuff, fun stuff. So
So, is there a rule for what percentage of budget should typically go to florals, venue, or catering? Can you tell me a little bit about that, or tell our audience a little bit about that?
Yes. So I'm glad you asked that because there are a lot of resources out there. So you can Google and see, okay, this should go to this should go to that. And
Mm-hmm.
I think those are great starting points. But what it doesn't incorporate into the discussion is what's important to you as a client, as a
Yes.
couple, So I do think a good standard is 45 to 50% on your venue and catering costs. But
Mm-hmm.
then those other 50% should be broken up to floral. So if you're a floral person, you probably want to earmark about 15%. But if you're not, because remember, the florals are not just the ceremony, it's the reception, and it's the personal items. And then
Correct.
you got to thinking about your videographer and photographer, which should probably be about 10 to 15% as well. So now our budget is really whittling down
Mm-hmm.
with that. And one of the things that I kind of get a hiccup with is bridal attire, because who doesn't want to look amazing on their wedding?
Yeah.
But if your dress is 25% of your budget, hey, you are breaking down. Yeah. So,
Yes. Let me ask you this. This is something I just thought about when you said your attire, your dress.
mhm.
Um, is it important to include that in your budget, or should that be separated from your wedding budget?
So it's funny you asked that question. I'm glad you asked that question. So when I meet with my clients, I say it's twofold. That could be included. Some say, hey, I got to include it. Others say, no, my wedding dress, my hair, makeup, even my wedding bands are not a part of my budget. And I say, if
Mm-hmm.
you can exclude that, then now expands your budget. And we really talking
Yes,
apples to apples now. So yeah.
absolutely. Because I had a client one time. Um, she bought a designer gown and she included it in her wedding budget. So
Mm-hmm.
when it came down to some other items that were needed,
Mm-hmm.
the dress took the budget
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
think the dress was like 10,000,
Mm-hmm.
and so they had to sacrifice other things because the
Mm-hmm.
dress was included
Yeah.
in the budget. And
Mm-hmm.
I say, just my little opinion, don't include your dress, your tuxedo, your wedding
Mm-hmm.
bands in the
Mm-hmm.
wedding budget.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good rule of thumb. I really tell my couples, let's create two budgets, because another thing is, where does the wedding planner cost go? Does is that included in your budget or not?
Right,
So
right,
I really say create two separate budgets.
right.
I think this actually leads us to a nice time to take a break. But while we're on break, I want you to think about, what areas do you see couples overspending in, and then maybe later regret it. So we'll be right back after
Okay.
this short message. We want to give a big shout out to our amazing sponsors. Thank you to Flawless Weddings and Events for your incredible design and planning. A huge thank you to Flawless Flowers for their amazing arrangements. We also appreciate Erika's Elegance Weddings and Events for your creativity. Let's not forget our musical director, Tony Bowers. You keep the energy high for us. A big thank you to BYC Photography for capturing our special moments. And last but not least, thank you to our awesome team at Power of Praise Network. We appreciate your support. We couldn't do this without you. And to our viewers, don't forget to check out our amazing sponsors. Until next time, bye. So, Tracy, as we were leaving, I was asking you a question, and I'm sitting on the edge of my seat to hear this answer. But where do you see your couples overspending in areas, and then do they often regret overspending in those areas?
Yes, I love this question.
Hmm.
So I find it that couples decide to have wedding favors
Hmm.
that don't truly enhance the guest experience. Wedding,
Hmm.
I say you can do without the wedding favors because
Hmm.
what happens to the wedding favors? They end up
Yeah,
on the floor, left
we
at
have
the
to pick them up.
tables. We have to pick them up. We have more wedding favors at the end of the night
Hmm.
than than the florals that are left behind.
Right.
I just think that is overspending,
Hmm.
just to be
Well,
overspending.
okay. Well, how do you get around this? Because some traditions say you got to have something for your guests. Like it is not proper etiquette. And we're going to do an episode on etiquette one day. But,
Yes.
yes. But
Yes.
how do you handle that when they say, well, oh my gosh, you have to have a wedding favor? It's proper. What do you say to that?
I say let them.
Baby, if Mel Robbins knew,
Yes. I
girl.
say let them. And then what happens is you've already shared with them what will happen with the leftover wedding favors, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to prove to you my
Mm-hmm.
theory. So I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
collect
Mm-hmm.
all of the favors at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
night and I'm going to hand you a bag to
Mm-hmm.
let you know, here
Mm-hmm.
you go. These are all the favors that were left behind. I mean,
Look,
what can you do?
do your couples ever say, you just take them? Do you?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And I say, no, thank you.
Right.
I don't need them. I don't need to see your name and your wedding date.
Girl, look,
Yes,
look, we're not saying that it is your wedding and your special day, but you got to consider, do I want a wine glass at my house that has your wedding date on it? How much am I really gonna use that? So.
exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. And then I
Hmm.
often tell them too, well, maybe you can send them out, later. Or, if
Hmm.
you're having a brunch the next day, you can make sure those guests get the wedding favors. But most people don't want them. Trust me.
Hmm.
I've
Yeah,
seen it too
yeah.
many times.
Right, right.
So, Erica, what do you recommend couples invest in most to maximize, impact and value?
Hmm. Wow, that's a really great question, and it may seem like I'm taking a scapegoat answer, but I would say it really depends on what's most important for them. But I
Hmm.
do think about what is your guest experience going to be, and the three things that I've seen is people when they eat good, they
Hmm.
dance good, and they
Yes.
feel loved. I
Hmm.
would say really that food experience, because you were talking about
Hmm.
emotional food elicits emotions, and those
Hmm.
emotions can last. They talk about how you can smell your favorite food and it's nostalgic. So why
Mm.
not create that experience? And I know you're a foodie. Like, how would you
I
even
am.
make, yeah, how would you even look? I'm excited to hear, how would you even make that experience greater, Tracy, like with the food?
Right. Well, for me, I feel like as the couples don't really get to experience their food on the day of, so
Hmm.
their enjoyment of the food is usually at the tasting. Um,
Mm.
You know what I mean? Because the wedding
Yeah,
day, they're not enjoying their food because they're dancing, they're moving around, they're
you're
taking
right.
photos, they're greeting their guests. But
Hmm.
you want to make sure that your guests have that same experience as
Hmm.
you did when you did your tasting.
Mm.
So I feel like, some couples, choose food that they like, but then also some couples choose food that their guests will enjoy.
Hmm.
So I would say, enjoy your food tasting as if it was your wedding, because you're not gonna have it, on your wedding day.
Wow, I love that. I actually never even thought about it like that.
Yeah.
You are
Yeah.
absolutely right, because they are dancing around, or they just have so much nervous energy that they're not really
Yes.
sitting down to eat.
Yes. And then their guests are coming up to them while they're eating. So that's another
Mm-hmm.
distraction. So
Mm-hmm.
I tell my couple, I say, when you have your food tasting, I want you to really enjoy that food.
Girl, look, I'm gonna take that from you. Look, I
Yes.
actually don't do that. Thank you. Look, I'm learning from our sessions as well. Wow.
Yes.
I
Yes.
love it. So this actually, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, but I
Hmm.
know we both can probably speak to this, but I want you to share your thoughts with our listeners, whether you feel DIY is
Mm.
really a money saver, or can it cost more in the long run?
That's a
Hmm.
good one.
Yeah.
DIY. I
Mhm.
cringe when I hear that. But anyway, well, first, there's time investment. So
Hmm.
couples
Hmm.
underestimate how much time it takes to source
Hmm.
materials,
Yes.
assemble the items,
Yes.
store them, transport
Mhm.
them, and
Mhm.
then set everything up on their wedding day.
Mhm. Mhm.
So time is money. That's the way I look at it.
Mhm.
Time
Yeah,
is money,
absolutely.
especially when that time could be spent enjoying the process
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
focusing on what really matters, which is the wedding
Yes.
day, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
second, there's hidden costs.
Mhm.
You have
Mhm.
supplies, tools, trial and errors. Say something
Mhm.
happens, right?
Yeah.
Mistakes,
Yeah.
last minute replacements, they
Mhm.
add up quickly.
Mhm. Mhm.
So what starts out to be budget friendly,
Mhm.
it often ends up costing close to or more than
Mhm.
hiring a professional. So,
Absolutely. I feel like, and nothing is wrong with DIY, because someone could say, "Well, you DIY." Absolutely, but the difference is, if you DIY, don't do it from a money costing perspective. DIY is
mm,
not for a money saving option. DIY is really, I love doing this. I am crafty. I am good at it. Not that I
mm-hmm,
just saw an image on Pinterest and I want to replicate it and save money, because that's not what, to me, a true DIY. I think it is
right,
someone who should really love and enjoy what they're doing, and it's not a cost saving measure. So I
right,
wish we could change the lens on that, on how people look
right.
at
And
that.
then there's execution and stress. Like DIY means someone has to set it up, break it
Hmm.
down on
Yes.
the wedding day.
Hmm.
And if that
Hmm.
responsibility falls on a family or
Hmm.
friend, it often creates stress to take them out of the moment, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And then if something goes wrong, there's no professional to troubleshoot it.
Yes.
So
You
there you
you
go.
know what, as you were talking, visions danced in my head about um not even just the execution, but you mentioned like getting the materials. I've had
Mm-hmm.
someone say, "Oh, can you run to this Michael's? And can you run to this
Exactly.
Michael's?" Like, we got to go to all 50 Michael's in the metropolitan area to find
Mm-hmm.
enough materials, where it's, you had given it to someone who's professional. They have these
Mm-hmm.
supplier relationships, and it takes
Absolutely.
all of that. So
Yep.
wow.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, we spilling the tea, shedding some light on it.
Ah,
Just really, yeah.
yeah. So with that, Erica, can you share how working with the planner actually helps couples save money?
Yeah, so I know we both chatted about this and experience, when people think of planners, like, oh my gosh, that's not in my budget. But
Mm-hmm.
really, what they don't realize is, you say time is money. And I'm always like, if I can save 2 hours, it's worth. I was talking to someone yesterday. I will pay for convenience, because we're like, why do you spend money on DoorDash? Well, guess what? It's because, I am executing this and I don't have time to cook right now. So I will spend that. So I look at it
Right.
as spending on having a peace of mind, first of all. but also we've developed relationships with a lot of vendors. I see a lot of vendors who you've worked with, who I've worked with. We've built a rapport, and sometimes with those relationships, they'll say, you know what, Tracy, Erica, I'll offer your client 10% off because I know working together, we have a great relationship. So we can bring that value as well with getting discounts sometimes that they wouldn't ordinarily be able to get. So now when you start adding those up, you really paid for your planner. So I think,
Yep, you're right about
why,
that.
yeah. So I think that's why actually having a planner, and I'm not saying this, you hear me say this all the time. I'm not saying this because I'm a planner, but I think everybody should have a planner. Being on both sides of the fence, I was a planner and got married and understood the value of having a planner.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree for sure.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Have you ever had to completely rework a budget for a client?
Yeah, it happens often, more often than people realize. One example is a couple who originally came in with a certain budget in mind. But once we started selecting the venue and adding the catering, the rentals, the floral, and other vendors, it became clear that their vision did not match the numbers. Happened so many times. Yeah. So, basically what I had to do is I had to walk them through line by line, break it down so that we can identify two things. What's a priority?
Right.
And what's nice to have.
Right. Yeah.
So once we got all that under wraps, then it was easy for us to align their budget with their vision. So yeah, it happens a lot by we had to restructure everything.
Yeah.
And I think it all boils down to that couples really, really don't know what it takes or what it costs when they say I do or say yes to the ring, right?
Yes.
Yeah. They're learning. I mean, it's not like a party. You're planning a birthday party. It's not you're planning a dinner party. Wedding budgets are important, and you need somebody to walk you through it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I have had to restructure some budgets.
Yeah, and you know what? I often also tell my clients, because you said they don't really know. Oftentimes, they may hear their friend, "Oh, I only spent $15,000 on my wedding," but their friend got married 20 years ago, or they only had 50 people. So they're not comparing apples to apples. So I really caution people also with saying, oh, I only spent 25,000, but your vision may not be what that person had. So that's another issue that I kind of tackle. So
right. And then also, cost of living changes, right? So our economy is different each year, it's different. You have florals that go up and down with pricing, sometimes hard to get. Some are seasonal, so prices you have to adjust accordingly. Because I know when sometimes people call and say, how much does it cost for flowers? And you're like, well, first of all, let's break it down. What do you want? What type of floral are you looking for? What type of design you're looking for? How small, how big, how tall, how little? It's a lot that you have to factor in. So you just can't say, oh, this is going to cost you, 3,000 or 4,000. We need to figure out what exactly do you want. And I'm not a florist, but I just know based on experience from listening to Fallon talk about florals, and the market fluctuates. So,
which is good. We probably need to have that on one of our episodes because it just surprised me, and I'm so grateful that I'm aligned with you and Fallon because I learned a lot from her. Even when they had, I think in Ecuador, where the crops got ruined, and then all of the floral costs were so high, and people were like, "What's going on?" But that was out of anybody's control.
Right, and then also with the shipping. It's
Yeah.
sitting in the docks, right?
Right. I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah.
a
So
lot of
we have
things.
to
Yeah.
go with the flow. We have to
Mm-hmm.
learn how to pivot. And so
Mm-hmm.
budget, pricing, all of that, it fluctuates. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not,
Mm-hmm.
a cookie cutter, one size fit all type of
Mm-hmm.
budget. So,
Right. Right.
right.
Right. So
So,
yeah.
Erica, as we wrap up, what's one of the make it make sense rules to live by? make it make sense to the people.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So I'm very big on your budget is your budget. People hear me say that all the time. But
Mm-hmm.
what you got to make sure is that your vision aligns with your budget. You mentioned
Hello.
Pinterest earlier. I get these $300, $700 centerpieces. That is
Mm-hmm.
not going to realistically fit in a $10,000 budget. Should you
Right.
change your $10,000 budget? Not necessarily, because again, what you have is what you have, but what you got to do is change your mindset to make it make sense with
Mm.
what you want to go with. So that's my rule of thumb. Your budget
Preach,
is your
girl.
budget. Right. Your budget is your budget, but we got to
Right.
make sure that now your thought process and your wants, you talked about wants and nice to haves, your
Mm-hmm.
needs fit within the budget that you are given. So that's what I
Right.
would go by. Do you have anything that you want to add to that?
Well, also, what's important to you, right? Like, what
Yes.
really is important? What do you want the outcome to come to?
Mm-hmm.
What do you want your guests to experience? Because really, at the end of the day, it's about your guests.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
though you say it's about the couple,
Mm-hmm.
it's about the guest experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why are you
Yeah.
having this anyway? For the guests, right?
Yeah. Right. Right.
So what's
Yeah.
important to you? And I'll say this. I know we're going to touch on budget on different episodes because it's very
Mm-hmm.
important. But I'll say this. It's our job,
Mm-hmm.
as wedding planners. But sometimes I feel like, especially when they're young, I feel like this is a big amount of money.
Yes.
And you can have a nice wedding,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But don't you want to buy a house? I'm sorry, I said it.
No, oh my!
I'm
Look,
sorry, I said it.
pivot, pivot. No, no, no. You're Tracy. Like, so true story. I had a couple. Dad had two girls. He
Mm-hmm.
gave them each $25,000 for their wedding.
Mm-hmm.
One was like, "Oh, I'm gonna add to my wedding and just
Mm-hmm.
live it up." Beautiful, loved it. The other one said, "I'm gonna have a house and I'm gonna go to the courthouse." Yeah.
Hello. Because,
So
oh man.
our podcast
Right.
ain't about selling who we are as planners.
Right.
We are here
Right.
to
Right.
educate and to shed some
Right.
real light on this stuff.
Right.
So, girl, come on, we gonna take it
Yes,
there.
I just really hope that they're thinking ahead. Like,
Yes.
yes, this is one day. It's a lot of money. You love each other. And that's why I said it's really about the guest experience. Who are you doing this for? You can have a beautiful, intimate micro wedding, right?
Yes.
And
And
a
be
ceremony,
gorgeous. Yes.
gorgeous, right?
Yes.
And that rest of that budget, guess what? Can go on a
Right.
down payment for a house. So I
Right.
just said it. I just said it.
No, because look, you're talking real talk because 3% on a $450,000 house. Look, I can't even
Mm-hmm.
calculate right now. My brain is just, but that's a lot of money. Like
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I also don't go into debt having your wedding. Don't come
Yes.
out and like
Yeah.
I got $10,000 worth of credit card debt. Just make it make sense, and that's what our episode is about. So I'm glad
Yeah.
you went down this road, friend. Look.
Wow. So this is loaded. This is a loaded episode. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And we're going to touch more on budgets. We have to.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Yes, yes, yes. Okay.
Well, thanks for joining us today on In the Know with Erika and Tracy. We hope you found our tips on wedding and event budgeting helpful.
Remember, setting a realistic budget doesn't have to be stressful. With the right strategies, you can celebrate your special moments with confidence.
If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. We love hearing from you.
And if you have any questions about budgeting or topics that you want us to cover in future episodes, please feel free to reach out to us via email in the know with Erika and Tracy at gmail.com, or you can find the link below in the description. Until next time, happy planning. Thanks for joining us on In the Know with Erika and Tracy. Say yes to less stress. If you found today's episode helpful, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share with someone planning their big wedding day.
Until next time, say yes to clarity, confidence, and calm.